This is the burial place of Louisa Maria Wells. She was born in Vermont in 1817, but at a young age her father died, and her mother moved she and Louisa to Lowell, Massachusetts, where the mother got a job to be in charge of one of the boarding houses in which young mill workers lived. Louisa went to work in one of the mills, and she continued to work through most of her life as a mill worker. She never married, she had no children, and she lived until 1886, into her 60s. When she died, she left a will, and the sole provision of the will said that she left her entire estate to be used to build a suitable monument for herself and her mother at Lowell Cemetery. Now, Louisa had no siblings, but she did have cousins, and the cousins thought that Louisa certainly must have been of unsound mind to have left a provision in the will and not left her estate to them, so they contested the will. It took many years to resolve it in court, but finally the will was upheld. Now, once that happened, Louisa's lawyer and executor, his name was George Richardson, he reached out to his cousin, who happened to be a very prominent American sculptor, Daniel Chester French. Now, you've probably heard of French before because he's famous for creating the Minuteman Monument at the Old North Bridge in Concord, and also Abraham Lincoln at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. Now, French replied he was very busy and he didn't have time to do this particular job. He recommended instead that a young associate of his, a woman named Evelyn Longman, be hired to do the job. Now, Evelyn Longman is an interesting story in her own right. She was born in Chicago, and she attended the Art Institute of Chicago School. She was a hugely talented artist, but she could not get any commissions on her own because she was a woman, and people didn't hire women for big jobs back in the 19th century in America. Now, Evelyn Longman's breakthrough moment came when she entered a blind competition sponsored by the United States Navy to design new doors for the brand new chapel at Annapolis. Longman's submission won. Now, when the judges found out that the winner was a woman, they tried to redo the contest, but there was such outrage about that she got the job, and she did a terrific job. And so if you're ever in Annapolis, make sure you go to the chapel and look at Evelyn Longman's doors, because they capture the history of the United States Navy. So Longman was hired. One of the silver linings of the will contest was that because of the long time that it took to finalize the estate, the money that Louisa Maria Wells had accumulated during life grew substantially because of the accumulated interest. So Longman created this piece of art for a monument for Louisa Wells. Longman referred to the upright figure as the Angel of Death. Now, if at the start of this video I had told you that we would see the Angel of Death depicted in a sculpture, you would not have imagined a figure like this, because the look on the angel's face is one of peacefulness and comfort. Now, the seated figure wears the simple smock dress favored by mill workers at the time, and she holds a spool of yarn in her right hand, and that unravels across her lap. And the cutting off of the yarn symbolizes the end of life. And Longman said that the message that she was trying to convey was that death was not something to be feared, but instead was a release from the toils and troubles of everyday life. And she certainly succeeded in that. At the bottom of the sculpture, she left an inscription, and it says, "Out of the fiber of her daily tasks, she wove the fabric of a useful life." And so again, this is the burial place of Louisa Maria Wells, Lowell, Massachusetts, died February 20th, 1886. Unique among mill workers in 19th century America, she was able to have this beautiful piece of art as a monument here at Lowell Cemetery.